All right, so let's do a little bit of yoga together. So come right on up to the front edge of your chair and have your feet underneath your knees. You can have your socks on or off, completely up to you. The floor is probably a little chilly. Um, and I might have mentioned this last week, but especially during the winter, you might want to bring a little hand towel to put underneath your feet just to give yourself a little extra. Um, yes, so a little bit of insulation there would be good. Okay, so have your shoulders right above your hips and relax your jaw, relax your neck, relax your hands, relax your face. And just take stock. Is there anything else that's feeling a little tight or tense, and where can you relax? And then close your eyes if that feels comfortable. And if you'd rather not close your eyes, just drop your gaze down at the floor. That just helps bring your attention into your own body. It gets you out of the hustle and bustle of the world. And notice your breath. Notice the way air is moving in and out of your body this morning. Is your breath fast or slow? Is it shallow or deep? Is one nostril more open than the other? And are you able to breathe in and out through your nose? So nose breathing is better for your lungs. It's more efficient for your lungs. When you breathe in through your nose, it filters the air. It warms it to the right temperature. And when you breathe out through your nose, it releases the carbon dioxide at the right level for your body. So breathing in and out through your nose is beneficial for your lungs. It's beneficial for the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide in your body at a rate that works best for you. And that said, it's not always easy to breathe in and out through the nose. So just notice. And allow your breath to get a little deeper and a little bit slower with every inhale and every exhale. As you breathe in, imagine your body is like a balloon and you're filling that balloon with air. And as you breathe out, it's like letting the air out of the balloon. So on the inhalation, the belly and the rib cage expand, and on the exhalation, the belly and rib cage contract. And as you're watching your breath, notice your thoughts. Notice the activity in your mind this morning. Do you have a lot of thoughts? Do you have just a few, or maybe one that's dominating everything else? And there's no need to change anything about the mind. The nature of mind is to have thoughts. So trying to clear the mind can create a little bit more tension, mental tension as well as physical tension. So it's more important to just notice your thoughts, to just observe them. And in the observing of your thoughts, you realize that you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are independent of you because you're the one who's watching them. So you're breathing in and out, letting the body expand and contract. You're watching the thoughts. And at the same time that you're doing those things, notice if you're holding some tension in your jaw, your shoulders, your arms or hands, your back, your legs, your hips, your feet. So there's just a noticing of what's happening with the breath, what's happening in the mind, what's happening in the body. And from that place of presence now, take a deep breath in and let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes gently open. Good. And let's begin with a little bit of movement in the toes. So if your toes are free, look down there and notice, are your toes all independent, or do some of them cross over the others or roll under the others? And if you're in socks, see if you can just kind of sense that, or if you're in shoes as well, see if you can sense that. And now without lifting the balls of your feet off the floor, just lift your toes up and then down. So we're just lifting the toes and lowering them down. And notice, is it easy to lift and lower your toes? Is it easier on one foot than the other? Okay, and now lift your whole foot except your heel. So you're lifting the toes and the balls of the feet and down and up and down. Good. So next time you lift your toes up, press into your heels and feel your leg muscles get nice and strong. So press, press, press and breathe. And then lower down and relax the legs. And again, we're going to lift all the front of the foot up and press into the heels really strongly, as if you were going to stand up. And then lower down. And one more time, lifting the front of the foot up, pressing into the heels, breathing in, breathing out, and then lower back down. Good. Okay, so let's take just the big toes and lift them up and lower them down. Now you might want to look down at your feet. And again, notice, how easy is it to lift your big toes versus the other toes? Left foot, right foot, is there a difference? Do they all want to lift together? Okay, and then place all the toes on the floor, and now we're going to keep the big toes down and lift just the little toes without letting your knees come together, right? So no fair doing that. That's not lifting your toes. Good. So just lifting and lowering, and again, just notice, is it easy to do this relatively, or is it hard to do that relatively? Good. And then relax all of that. So there's all kinds of mixed responses going on out there, right? All right, let's do something a little more interesting now. Let's take the right big toe up off the floor, just the right big toe. And now on the left foot, take all your little toes off the floor. Phew, I see smoke, right? Lower everything down. Okay, let's try that in reverse. So now take your left big toe, lift just your left big toe, and you can look down, and then raise all your little toes on the right foot. Good, and then lower that all down. Let's try that one more time. So on the right, take just your right big toe up, and on the left, all your little toes. Breathe. Good, and then lower down, and then on the left, we're going to lift the big toe. On the right, all the little toes, and again, breathe. And notice. Good. I see a lot of hands doing this. Hands are instructing feet, right? And then lower back down. Good. Okay. So let's come up on the toes. We're going to stretch the bottoms of the toes so you can kind of walk your feet back a little bit. And press down as if you were going to stand up on your feet. Press down. Good. Okay. And then take your right foot, place it flat on the floor. Your left foot, you're going to turn the top of your foot into the floor. So now we're stretching this front part of the ankle and the lower leg. Press into the big toe side a little bit. Press into the little toe side a little bit. If the floor is super hard on your foot, you can take your shoe and put your foot like on top of your shoe. Oh, I have a sock here. Yep, or a sock, whatever you've got, just to give it a little, because toes are bony. Yeah? Yeah, toes are typically pretty bony. Okay, and then let's switch. Let's put that left foot on the floor, and we're going to take the right foot and come onto the top of the toes. So we're stretching the front of the shin. Press more into the big toe side. You'll feel it here, down the front of the shin. press a little more into the little toe side. You'll feel it here in the outer part of that lower leg a little bit. Breathe. Now this can be really intense sensation for a lot of folks, especially people who are really tight in the lower leg, and then release that. Good. So let's just come up and down a few times with the feet. Good. All right, take your right leg, extend it out, and we're going to scrunch the toes. So I'm showing you with my hand what I'm doing with my foot. So we're scrunching the toes and pull the top of your foot toward your shin, right? So we're pulling the top of the foot toward the shin. So this is what I'm doing, and we're scrunching the toes. Everybody feel like that's going to turn into a cramp? Any moment now, right? Yeah, okay, so keep the toes scrunched and point your foot. So I'm going to lift mine up so you can see. So see, my toes are still scrunched, but I'm pointing my foot. And now spread your toes out. And then scrunch your toes, bring the foot back, open your toes up. Got that? Oh, I'll go this way, Mary, so you can see. So scrunch the toes, go forward, and extend. Breathe, you guys. This is a lot of concentration here, right? So watch your foot, notice what it's doing. So again, this can be pretty intense for a lot of people. Okay. So keep the toes scrunched. That's the important part here, right? Good. And then relax that. Whew, shake out that foot a little bit. Let's go to the other side. So same thing. Extend the leg out, and we're going to scrunch the toes and then point the foot, but keep the toes scrunched. And then extend the toes, scrunch the toes, bring the top of the foot back toward the shin. You can keep your foot on the floor. You don't have to lift up. And then we're extending. I'm just kind of doing this so people can see. Good. Got that? Everybody doing okay? Nobody looks happy, so that's good. That means it's doing its job. Great. So if you suffer from leg cramps or pain in the bottoms of your feet, this is a great exercise to do to help with that. And then let that go. Good. Shake out that foot a little bit. So with leg cramps, what happens often are the muscles that come from the bottom of your foot. They're called extrinsic foot muscles. That means they exit the foot. They will get tight and pull on the calves, and then that'll give you the cramp. For people who get anybody wake up in the middle of the night and you got to get out of bed because your arch is like all cramped up? So for people who get arch cramps, that's usually the intrinsic foot muscles. So that little exercise that we just did works both of those groups of muscles for you. All right, let's take the right ankle and circle around a little bit. Good, and then left ankle, we'll circle that around a little bit. Good. Okay, and then both feet on the floor. Have your hands right alongside your body, right alongside your hips. We're going to do a little work for the knees. So we're just going to bend and extend. You pick whichever leg you want to start with. I like to start with the right just so that I know where I'm at. If I always start with the right, I know I finish on the left. Okay, a couple more of these. Notice what your knee feels like this morning. If this is too much for your leg, if you're finding it difficult, you can tap your heel and tap your toes, or you can even slide your foot. Good. Next time you extend your leg, I'm going to ask you to hold here. Now notice if you're leaning back or if you're doing this with your body. See if you can sit up nice and tall. Pull your belly in. Good. And lift your foot a little higher. Good. And then see if we can rotate the leg out and in a few times. So keep your toes reaching toward your shin. So you're pressing out through your heel. And we're rotating from way up in the very top part of the leg, right? So where the leg bone comes into the hip bone. And I haven't forgotten that I promised to find a hip to bring in to show you. I just haven't located a hip yet. Nobody's willing to give one up. All right, and then we're going to lower that all the way down. Whew, excellent. Let's just kind of shake that out a little bit. And we'll go with the other side. So once again, hands alongside your body near your hips, sitting up nice and tall. Pull your belly in. Try not to round through your back or lean back into your chair. And we're just going to bend and extend this other knee. Oh, that was good. So as you're bending and extending on this side, notice if this feels different as well. So if you've had a knee replacement on one side or you've had an injury on one side, chances are you're going to feel some difference in there. And different doesn't always mean bad. It just means different. So the next time you extend that leg, we're going to have you hold that there, right? Toes are reaching toward the shin. And then we're going to rotate this leg in and out, and that goes way up here into the hip. Yeah. Yeah. So, right. So some people have a really hard time turning it, so one way might work better than the other way. If you've had a hip replacement, that has an effect here as well. So how much you've recovered in your mobility through um, physical therapy. I forgot those words. Okay. And then we're going to lower that all the way down. Good. And just kind of give a little tap there. How's everybody's hips and legs doing? They're more awake now? Maybe? All right, so bring your feet a little wider apart and hold on to your chair. We're going to take that left leg and we're going to bring the knee down. Pull the knee like you're trying to touch the floor, and then pull the knee out like you're trying to touch the wall behind you. So pull the knee toward the floor and then pull the knee back. Good. So really use the muscles in the outer part of the hip when you pull out, and in the inner part of the thigh when you pull in, right? Good. Couple more. Great. Okay, and then we'll switch to the other side. So pulling that knee in toward the floor, and then pulling the knee back toward the wall behind you. And try and keep your foot on the floor, right? So in other words, don't come up on your toe, because that just uses some different parts of your leg to get the result that we want here. So breathe in, breathe out. Good. Notice any difference, one side to the other? Quite often there is. Okay. And then we'll go back to kind of that neutral position. Now really hold on to your chair, and we're going to bring both knees to the right and then both knees to the left. Now as you do that, when you pull your right knee to the left, you're using the muscles in the inner part of your right thigh, and you're using the muscles in the outer part of the left thigh, right? And then we're going to go to the other side. So just going back and forth and just pausing for a moment when you get there, giving a little extra squeeze so that we're really using those muscles. Good. Couple more. Excellent. And come back to center. Great. Bring your feet a little closer together if you want. Take a moment, close your eyes, and with your feet nice and flat on the floor, notice any new sensations or awareness in your feet, your legs, your knees, your hips, even into your back. Take a nice deep breath in, let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes gently open. So the lower part of the body should feel a little bit warmed up at this point, and we're going to just transition to the upper part of the body. So we're going to take the hands, just reach them up, relax your shoulders down, right? So sometimes we raise the hands by lifting up on the shoulders. So we're just going to relax that down, and let's just bend and extend the fingers. Nice. Finger music out there today. Yeah. So when the weather gets cold, how many people have difficulty with their fingers when the weather's cold? Yeah. Yep. It affects a lot of folks. So there's arthritis. Certain kinds of arthritis will flare up when it's cold. Other kinds of arthritis flare up when it's hot. So some folks notice a difference when it's warmer out. Next time you extend your fingers, hold here. Spread them out really wide. Bring your little fingers and your thumbs as far away from each other as they can go. Good. And then we're going to touch the first finger and the thumb together, but keep everything lengthened. In other words, you're not rounding your fingers, you're keeping them lengthened like that. See that? That's the difference between that and that, right? Okay. So then release that and take the second finger. So same thing. Nice and straight. Good. And then third finger. Right? And then fourth finger. Is anybody breathing? No? Go back to third. And second. And first, and breathe. Good. And one more time. Second, third, fourth, and back. Third, second, first. Good. Shake that all out. Now that we've created some tension in the fingers, let's take the right hand. We're going to pull back on the fingers, straighten your elbow, relax your shoulder down away from your ear. So if your shoulder's way up here, drop it down. Good. Pulling back, and then we're going to release that and pull on the back of the hand. So not on your fingers, but on the back of the hand. Good. Other side, we're going to extend the left arm, so straighten your elbow, pull back on the fingers, breathe in, breathe out. Good. Notice what that feels like. So this is like stretching the bottoms of the feet, right? It's the palms of the hands, palms of the feet. And then down, we're going to press on the back of the hand here. Good. Okay. And shake that all out. Okay, so last week we did a little movement. I said it was kind of like a motorcycle movement, right? So we're going to do the same thing this week. So make fists. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring the knuckles toward the wrist, right? So bring the knuckles toward the wrist and really pull the knuckles down there. So you should feel a stretch across the top of the wrist and the arm. Everybody doing okay with that? Okay, relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw, right? That's the other way we do this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to extend the arms, but keep the knuckles pulling toward the wrists, right? And then we're going to come all the way back. Bring the tops of your wrists to your shoulders, but keep these knuckles pulling down toward the wrists. So we're going to go out and in a few times. Got that? Breathe in, breathe out. Good. Next time we extend, now keeping the fists, we're going to bring the fists up and extend, and then extend the fingers. Got that? Okay. Make a little fist. Bring your knuckles toward your wrists. Pull back. Good. Breathe. And relax. And there could be a lot of sensation here, right? Is everybody having a little sensation at least? Yeah? Maybe a little more than a little? Okay. Good. So if you have trouble with your hands or your wrists, this is a great little exercise to do. We can even do it sideways. So next time you bring your fists or your wrists to your shoulders, we're going to go out to the sides. So same thing. See this? We've got the knuckles right in, and then we go out. Keep pulling those wrists in, or the knuckles in toward the wrists rather, and then out to the sides. This I find a little harder. You might find this a little easier to go to the side. We're all different. All right? Good. No smiles this morning. You'll be glad to have a break for a couple of weeks. Whew. All right. How about one more? This is a lot. You can do it. Okay, release that. Holy moly, right? All right, let's roll those shoulders forward, up, back, and down a couple of times. We just did a whole lot of work on the lower part of the limb. And quite often what happens when we have tightness somewhere, like say you're tight in your wrists or your hands or your forearms, when we do exercises like that where we're kind of inviting those lower arm muscles and those hand muscles to stretch and to strengthen and to do all that, we shift that tension upstream. So quite often when we're doing exercises for the hands and the wrists, we start to notice tension in the shoulders that wasn't there before. So that's why I like to work from the periphery in, right? So we kind of pull the tension in, and then we get to observe it, and then we get to let it go. So let's come up to those shoulders, right? So let's take the right arm, and we're just going to circle that right arm really slowly. Listen to your shoulder. Is it talking to you? Yeah. Is it cracking, snapping, popping, doing all those things? Yeah, that's pretty much shoulder language. Okay, get a little higher with your elbow and breathe. So nice big circles. So when you've got something going on in your shoulder that limits your range of movement, the best way to regain that range of movement is to do it, and to do it slowly. Okay, so next time your elbow's down toward the floor, we're going to reverse the direction of the circles, go up and around the other way. So if you were going forward before, now you're going backwards. And if you were going backwards, now you're going forwards. Okay, relax that. Let's get to the other side. So other shoulder, slow and steady. You might go back, you might go forward. Listen to the music or the story that this shoulder is telling you. All right. Good. And next time the elbow is down, reverse direction. And the reason that I like to have the elbow down when we reverse is that your shoulder joint is more stable when the elbow is down and the arm is closer to the body than when the arm is extended and away from the body. Your shoulder is just a little less stable then. Okay. And then relax that. Good. Okay, so we just kind of open up the shoulders a little bit. Now take your arms out to the sides. Hands are a little bit lower than your shoulders, so you don't want your arms way up here. You want to have them down. Let your thumbs be up, right? So we're going to take the thumbs, and the thumbs are going to lead this movement. So twist your arm from the shoulder so your thumbs come forward and then down and behind you, right? And then let's rotate the other way. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. Excellent. Keep going, nice and slow. And notice if your range is different on one side than the other. And for most of us, the movement coming forward with the thumbs, we're going to have greater range coming forward than we do going backwards. Because our bodies are oriented toward flexion. The human body is oriented toward flexion. It takes a lot of energy for us to stay upright. That's extension. So just a couple more before your arms fall off. Good. How about one more rotation forward? And then relax that. Yes, right? We've got a lot going on there. How we doing? Shoulders doing okay? Yeah? All right, let's give those arms and shoulders a little bit of a break, but we still want to work in that whole complex, which is with the neck, because the muscles in your back that come up into your shoulders also go into your neck. So if you've got a tight neck, you're going to have a tight shoulder. If you've got a tight back, you're going to have a tight neck. So let's first just investigate the movement that's available in the neck right now. So just drop your chin to your chest and notice at which point you begin to feel a bit of a stretch in either the neck or the upper part of the back or the tops of the shoulders. Just notice where you feel that. Okay, and then raise your head up. Good. And now without turning your body at all, you're going to keep your body stable. Turn your head to the right. And as you turn your head to the right, bring your chin as far over as it'll go. Turn your eyes all the way around in the eye sockets so that you could almost see behind you, right? And notice what you see in your direct vision. And then as you turn your eyes, what do you see in your peripheral vision? Breathe. Come back to center. Good. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So just turning to the other side. So not the body, just the neck. And again, noticing what you see in your direct vision, turning your eyes as far back as they'll go. Notice what you see in your peripheral vision. Good. And then slowly come back to center. Great. Now take your right ear and bring it as close to your right shoulder as it'll go. And when you get your ear on your shoulder, notice at what point you start to feel a stretch in through the left side. So for some of us, it can be up into the head or the ear. Other people are going to feel it in the neck or in the top of the shoulder, maybe even down into the outside of the shoulder, down into the top of the arm. Breathe in, breathe out, and then come back up. Give yourself a minute here because sometimes that can be a little disorienting. And then take your left ear to your left shoulder. Same thing. So just notice at what point do you feel a stretch here. And then come back up to center. So most of us are going to notice a difference. I can turn better this way or I can turn better this way. I have better range with my neck on this side or that side. So using that sort of as the metric, let's do a little bit more stretching for the neck and the shoulders, okay? So we're going to take the right arm and bring it across your body and pull that arm using your left hand. Now, as you pull the arm across your body, I'm going to have you turn your head to the right as far as it'll go, and then make a yes movement with your head. So lifting the chin up and then down, as if you could place your chin on your shoulder when the chin comes down, and then you're lifting the chin as far away from that right shoulder as you can when it comes up. So breathing in, breathing out. Good. And then bring your head back to center. Keep pulling that arm over. Breathe in, breathe out. Reach those right fingers toward the left wall a little bit here. Excellent. Release that arm. Take the left arm to the right. Now pull over using your right hand, just pulling that over. And now turn your head to the left. And as you turn your head to the left, we're going to do an up and down here. So we're breathing in, breathing out. And we're lifting the chin up and then lowering the chin down. So your left hand is over to the right, and your right hand is pulling on that left arm a little bit, and you're raising and lowering your head. And you're breathing. And smiling is optional. And then bringing the head back to center. Keep reaching that arm over. Now take those left fingers and reach for the right wall. Reach, reach, reach for the right wall. Good. And release that. Excellent. Let's roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down a little bit. Okay. And now we're going to take the arms behind the back. And as you take your arms behind your back, I'm going to have you grab hold of your hands back there. Everybody do that? Okay. Comfortable? If you can get a little closer, I'm going to bring my hands forward. So if you're like this and you can get a little closer, see if you can bring your hands to your wrists or your forearms. Now, keep walking your fingers toward your elbows. So the right fingers are walking toward the left elbow, and the left fingers are walking toward the right elbow. Okay, how are we doing? Okay. Grab your right elbow with your left hand. If you can't do that, pretend. Grab your left elbow with your right hand. And if you can't do that, pretend. Now, your hands are as close to your elbows as they can be, yes? Okay, so with your hands in this position, I'm going to have you squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then relax, right? So watch now, when you squeeze your shoulder blades together, does your neck come up? See if you can keep your head level and relaxed. Your neck muscles are nice and relaxed. Pull the shoulder blades together. Now your arms can come off your back a little bit, right? So you can lift your arms up off your back and relax. How are we doing? Okay. Everybody's so quiet this morning. This is unnerving. Oh, you're concentrating. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So relax relax the pulling, but notice which hand is on the bottom and which hand is on the top, right? So in other words, you have one hand that's lower and one hand that's higher, right? So you got a note of that? Okay, release your arms. Shake everything out. Whew. All right. Bring your arms behind your back. And we're going to do the same thing. So start with hands to hands, hands to wrists, and then walk your hands over. This time, however, make sure the hand that was on the bottom last time is on the top this time. So you have to remember, I can't help you with that. If it feels normal, if it feels really comfortable, it's wrong. Right? It should feel weird. Weird and hard, right? Weird and difficult. That'll be the new name of our class. Forget chair yoga. This is the weird and difficult class. Okay, so with your hands back there, without letting your chin come up, we're just going to squeeze those shoulder blades together and relax and breathe. So squeeze the shoulder blades together and relax. So your shoulder blade muscles come up into your neck. Did you all know that? Yeah, so you've got some shoulder blade muscles there, right on the top corner of your shoulder blade especially, that come right up into your neck. Breathe in, breathe out. Those get really tight for a lot of us. Those can cause headaches. They can cause ear aches. They can cause a big pain in your back. Okay, one more time. And then relax. Good, and let that go. Okay. So let's roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down. How are we doing, you guys? Yeah? How? Your shoulders are all alive now? Yes? Good. All right, so we've worked with the feet and the legs. We've worked with the hands and the arms. We've got some shoulder work in there. We've got a little bit of hip work in there. I want to work the spine a little bit. So if you remember from last week, I talked a little bit about the hips and how your hip bones are like, if you picture two elephant ears, right? So you got the right elephant ear, it's larger on the top and then it comes down to a little point, and on the right side, it's kind of larger on the top and comes down to a point. So between those two hip bones, now the hip bones aren't straight like this, they're angled out a little bit, right? So for men, they're angled out a little bit less. For women, they're angled out a little bit more. You all know why. So we're gonna just keep this in mind, right? So we've got the hip bones like that, and see where my thumbs are? Right between my thumbs, that's where your spine comes down. So your spine, the bottom of your spine is a little triangle. Well, it's a good-sized triangle, actually. So the bottom of your spine is a triangle that fits right in between my thumbs, and that's your sacrum. So your sacrum and your hip bones, they join, right? And for a lot of people who have low back pain, it's right in that area. It's right in that junction, right? Because the hips and the spine don't always work together. Like when I'm walking, if I'm holding my hips stiff, or if I've got a sore back, or I'm carrying a heavy load, I might be bracing with my spine and my hips are trying to move freely. Or I might be free with my spine because my spine feels good, but my hips are kind of achy, so they're getting a little tense. So we've got this push-pull happening where the spine and the hips come together. So what we're going to do to kind of release that is this little pelvic tilt. We did some of this last week as well. So bring your feet a little wider than your hips and make sure you're up on the close to the front edge of your chair. These chairs have a little hill. Can you all feel that hill? Like if you went too far forward, you'd slide off. And if you went too far back, you'd slide back. So it's like right on the top of the hill. So from here, take your hands, find your the creases where your legs come into your hips, right? So can you all find the creases, right? Now take your fingers from the creases and walk your fingers up. You should feel like some boniness there. If you're too close together, you're into your tummy and you're going to feel softness. If you're way out here, you're going to feel sort of the padding on the outer part of the hips. So you got to be right in the center. So I'm just going to stand up. So it's right here. I find the crease, and then I'm just going to walk up till I find there's kind of that hard spot there, right? Go up and around, and then I can feel the top of the hip bones. Can you all feel the top of your hip bones? Okay. So from here, I know, right? So from here, we're going to take our hands and just kind of put them right on that, like that. Okay, so the hands are what's going to direct this. So I want you to take your hands, and it's like you're tipping forward with your hands. And see how you can tip your hip bones forward, right? Your tailbone lifts. And now you're going to tip back, right? Okay, so now as your hands are doing this movement, get your tummy involved. So when you tip back, pull your belly in. And when you tip forward, let your belly be relaxed. So we're tipping back and tipping forward. And it would be helpful to breathe while you're doing this. I know. You know, every time we do something new, different, more discreet, right? We have to get in there. We hold our breath because it's like the mind can't process all this new stuff and breathe at the same time. The good news is if you hold your breath too long, you pass out. And the reason you pass out is so that you'll start breathing again. The brain says you are not smart enough to breathe here, so I'm going to make sure you go unconscious so that you will breathe. Kind of a fun fact, right? We don't want that to happen here, though, because the floor is a long way down from the chair. Okay, how's everybody doing? Okay, and then relax that a little bit. So I just want to say this. If you've got problems, issues, pain, discomfort in your low back, and you find yourself bracing a lot, this is a good way to start to re-educate the muscles in your back in a way that's safe. So with my hands on my hips, slowly moving forward and back, what I'm doing is a couple things. And you can do this with me if you want. If you've had enough, you can relax. I'm exploring what is the range of movement that's available in that part of my body right now. That's the first thing. The second thing I'm doing is I'm reminding my body that I have movement there. So oftentimes when we have a low back issue, we brace so hard that we don't allow any movement there, and that just perpetuates this cycle of pain and discomfort in the low back. So by doing this movement really slowly, we're accomplishing two things. We're getting movement into that joint, those joints, the right and left sides, and we're re-educating the body and the mind that there is safety there. I might have to be careful in how I walk, but I don't have to be rigid like I've got a tent pole in there. I can have a little bit of movement. Okay, so let's take that movement up a little bit higher. So we've got the hip bones, right? And then we've got the sacrum. I was telling you about the sacrum that sits down there. So on top of your sacrum, on top of that triangle, are all the rest of your vertebrae that go all the way up to your head, right? So we're going to do a little bit of movement for this whole rest of the spine because that's important as well. So you can have your hands on your hips if you want, or if you feel comfortable with the movement at your hips, you can have your hands just resting on your thighs. That's absolutely fine. So we're going to tip the top of the hips forward. And as you tip the top of the hips forward, I want you to bring your shoulder blades down toward your hips. Can you see my back really arching here? So we're really arching the back. And now we're going to go in the opposite direction. So we're trying to bring the front of the shoulders down toward the hip bones in the front. And you can get your head involved here too if you want to bring your chin to your chest. And breathing in and breathing out, we're going to go the other way. So get the shoulder blades down toward the hips. You can lift your chin slightly and then coming forward. So you should feel this movement throughout your whole spine from your sacrum. If it's helpful to visualize, picture your sacrum, that triangular bone at the base of your spine. Picture all the vertebrae on top of that, going all the way up your hips. Or, I'm sorry, going all the way up your back, up to your head, right? You're breathing in and breathing out. And again, if you've got issues with your back, if you've got issues with your spine, your neck, your shoulders, this is a way to start to re-educate your body and your mind that there is some movement available there that's pain-free, and exploring it with the breath. So if you breathe in when you pull your shoulder blades down toward your hips, and then breathe out when you bring your shoulders toward the front part of your body, or you can do it the other way. You can breathe out when you pull your shoulder blades down toward your hips, and you can breathe in when you bring the shoulders forward. Just a couple more of these. This looks really good, you guys. Good. And then down. And then coming back to a neutral spine. So close your eyes, take a breath in and out, and notice what you feel. Notice your hips and your back. Notice your shoulders, your neck. Take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. So we'll do a little bit more work for the spine. So we've got this kind of forward movement and backward movement of the spine, right, from the hips all the way up. And now we're going to do some side-to-side movement because your spine is three-dimensional, right? And it works in 3 dimensions. So you can move forward and back, you can move from side to side, you can twist, you can do all these fun things. So keeping your right hand on your thigh, we're going to take the left arm up overhead if that works for you. If you can't get your arm way up, just bring your hand to your shoulder, and then we're going to lean into that right side, press your left sitting bone into the chair. So don't let your left sitting bone come up. And then we're going to take that hand and bring it all the way down. So we're just going to do some side-to-side movements. So the right arm comes up, and we're leaning to the left. So let's breathe as we do this, right? So having the hand on the thigh just provides a little bit of support, right? And again, if your arm doesn't come up, that's okay. I'm going to do it in the modified version. So this is all we have to do is just bring the hand up to the shoulder, because this is about getting an opening in the side of the body as best you can, right? So your spine is up here, but it's also down here. Your spine goes from up inside your head, it actually goes up inside your head a little bit, all the way down to your tailbone, actually. So your tailbone extends below your sacrum. Tailbone curves forward. It's this little vestigial kind of bone formation there. Okay, next time we're over to one side, doesn't matter which one, let's stay here and breathe. Good. And see if you can get your hip bone and your shoulder farther away from each other. So if you have your arm up, you can reach your arm up. If you're not able to get your arm up, see if you can lift that whole side of your body. So we're trying to lift the whole right side of the body, breathing in and breathing out. Don't hold your breath. If you're holding your breath, you've gone too far, so you can come up out of this a little bit. and then we'll go to the other side. Okay, so same thing. If you can get your arm up, great. If you can get your hand to your shoulder, that's great. We're trying to move the shoulder up and the hip down, so we're trying to create more space in that side of the body, and breathe into that space that you're creating in that left side of your body. Good. And then come all the way up. Excellent. Let's roll the shoulders a couple of times. All right. And now we're going to do a little bit of twisting. So we've done some twisting in discrete parts of the spine, so now we're going to twist the whole spine. So if you take your head and turn to the right, when you get your chin close to your shoulder, I'm going to have you turn your shoulders to the right. So turn your shoulders. And then turn your mid-back and your low back. So you're twisting from the waist. And see if you can see the person behind you. Breathe in, breathe out. And they're not looking at you, they're looking at the person behind them. And then twist all the way back to center. Good. And now twist your head to the left. So start with the head, and then twist the shoulders and the upper, mid, and lower back. And again, we're twisting so far around like you could see the person behind you. And then slowly come back to center. Just a curiosity, how many of you noticed a difference in your range on one side versus the other? Yeah, it's pretty amazing, right? So think for a moment about the movements that you do in your life that require you to twist like that. Not really. Not with backup cameras, right? If you use them, yeah. There aren't many movements where we do that, right? Most of our movements, we overcompensate. So if I want to talk to the person behind me, yeah, instead of getting a little bit more of a twist in there, right? So when you're kind of going through your daily life, think about ways that you can use all parts of your body to engage all parts of your body, because we typically have our favorite few that we like, right? So this is the way I like to move my body, so this is how I do it every day. So we have our favorite few, and then there are all these other movements that we could be doing that we don't avail ourselves of. And over time, when we don't use them, the body is amazing at conserving energy. That's one of the things that kind of has come with us evolutionarily. That's why we're top of the food chain, right? Because we can adapt. And one of those adaptations is to conserve energy when we don't need to be expending energy. So it starts to conserve energy by saying, oh, well, you don't need to do this movement anymore. I'm not going to give you the muscular ability or the nerve ability to do that. So it just kind of puts it in hibernation. So it doesn't go away. It just hibernates. And it's just waiting for you to wake it up a little bit. And the best way to do that is to find these opportunities. Again, if you're going to talk to somebody who's sitting behind you or to the left, instead of turning your whole body, see if you can turn. And not for a long time now, right? So don't sit on the couch to watch TV like this, because that would be really bad. I'm just saying about getting that range of movement in there. Or try not using your backup camera, right? Which maybe that's not a good advice. Now that I say that, scratch that one. Keep using your backup camera. Okay, so but it's more about getting movement into your body, right? It's more about getting movement of different things, because all the parts have to work together in unison. Okay, so let's do one more little movement. So, because I just find this so fun, and I'm not going to see you for a few weeks, so I might as well torture you now. So we're going to go back to the feet for a moment. Yeah, the famous feet. So look down. Even if your feet are in your socks, that's okay. So I want you to just take a moment and be honest with yourself about your relationship with your feet. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Or do you forget about them? You want new ones. Yeah, that I would put in the hate category. Yeah, if you want new ones, I'd put that in the not very good relationship category. So regardless of how you feel about your feet, you wouldn't be mobile without them. So appreciate what they do for you, right? So as you're looking down at your feet, raise all your toes up, but keep the balls of your feet on the floor. We did this already, right, as part of our movement. And now spread your toes as wide as they'll go. So if you're in socks, you can use the resistance of the socks like little weightlifting for your toes, right? And now bring your toes together and then bring them far apart. And watch how your breathing gets very shallow when you do this. So we're spreading the toes and then we're bringing them together. Everybody doing okay there? Yeah? Good? Okay. And then come back, relax your toes. So we did the toe lifting, right? We did that a while ago. So now I'm going to have you lift your toes again and bring just your big toes to the floor, but don't let the little toes come down. And don't let your knees come together. Aha. Lift up. Lower just the big toes down. And lift and lower. Keep going. And look down there. Again, notice your hands. Are your hands instructing? Yeah, that's okay. If it's helpful to have your hands instruct, let them do that. Because your hands haven't been in shoes for, I don't want to say how many years, but a lot. Right? Okay, now with your toes all lifted, keep the big toes up and press all the little ones down. Most of us are going to find that a little easier. And then lift and lower. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. The more you do this, the more mobility you will have eventually. Okay, relax your toes. Relax your knees, relax your jaw, because I could see a lot of jaws getting tight as we did this. Okay, so now we're going to press down into the floor with the toes. And as you're pressing down, not scrunching, right? So not scrunching, but pressing down as hard as you can. Pressing, pressing, pressing. And then relaxing. And press down as hard as you can. And relax. And again, we're pressing down as hard as you can. And relax. Good. And now lift all the toes once again. Press your big toes down. Press your baby toes down, but not your 3 middle toes. Keep them lifted. Come on. And relax that. I know. It is possible. It is possible. So lift all your toes. Spread them wide. Breathe as you press your big toes down. Press those last toes down, but not all the toes in between. And relax that once again. So there's a couple things that are probably happening here. First, your brain is not computing how to get this to happen, right? It's like your brain is screaming for the feet to do this, and the feet just aren't speaking the same language. The other thing that might be happening is you're feeling cramps in your feet, right? Yeah. So we're working arches. That's really what this is about, is working to strengthen the arch there. So if you're having some cramping in your feet, that means you need to do this a little bit more to help build the muscles there that help support that arch. So let's lift all the toes again. Spread them wide. Okay, and then big toes down, last toes down, but none of the middle toes. Breathe in, breathe out. And then relax all of that. Okay, let's just kind of come up and stretch the bottoms of the toes a little bit. Good. And then relax that. So those, if you don't do anything else for the next 3 weeks, 2 weeks before we meet again, do the foot exercises that we did, right? So the toes, and these as well. So these little movements here, this works those intrinsic, meaning in the foot, and extrinsic, meaning they exit the foot, they're outside the foot. It works all of those muscles to help with foot cramps, with leg cramps, with circulation, right? So that you have a better feeling in the bottoms of your feet. And the reason feet, for me, like if I had to pick a body part, like my favorite body part, it's the feet. Because the feet are so, first of all, they're so underappreciated because we stuff them in shoes. We don't pay any attention to them. They barely get a nod in the shower, right? That, yeah, if you can reach it, they get a wash. If you can't reach it, you know, they just get rinsed with the water. Yeah, exactly, right? I know. But feet are so fundamental. They're so important because our feet, if they're scrunched in shoes all the time, if we don't have the flexibility that we require in all of those joints, you got 33 joints in your foot, in each foot. That's amazing. Quarter of all of your bones are in your feet. Quarter of all of your muscles are in your feet. And so when we don't pay attention to that, we don't have good balance. That's important to all of us, right? So if you don't care about your feet, you don't care for your feet in that way, just think about how important your feet are for your balance. It requires that independence, that ability to move and to sense when something is off. If I'm walking and I have great sensitivity in my feet and I put my foot down and I feel something is not quite right, I'm going to recover a lot quicker than if I have no sensitivity and I put my foot down and it just sort of rolls. That's an important part of this, is to have that sensitivity in the feet. Okay, so make yourself comfortable. We'll kind of finish with a little meditation here. So if you want to sit back into your chair, you can go ahead and do that. When you get comfortable, close your eyes. If you'd rather keep your eyes open, just drop your gaze down at the floor. And let's go back to the breath. Notice how the breath is moving in and out of your body. Are you able to breathe in and out through your nose? Is the breath moving more freely through one nostril than the other? And is your breath shallow or deep? Is it fast or slow? And can you consciously slow your breathing down? Can you let it get a little deeper so that as you inhale, your belly expands, and as you exhale, your belly contracts? Breathing in deeply, the belly and the rib cage expand. Breathing out completely, the belly and rib cage contract. And as you get into the flow and the rhythm of your breath, notice your thoughts. And notice if the quality of your thoughts has changed from when we first did this little breathing practice at the beginning. There may still be a lot of thoughts, or there may be just one or a few that are dominating. And as you're noticing your breath and you're noticing your thoughts, take stock of your body, where you might still be holding some tension. Are there parts of your body that feel more open and free? Maybe less uncomfortable? Breathing in and breathing out, watching thoughts move across the screen of your mind, feeling, sensing your body where it's relaxed, where it's still tight, tense, or uncomfortable. And noticing that you can observe all of these things simultaneously. You're watching the breath, you're watching the thoughts, you're monitoring the body. And you might just ask yourself, who's the one who's watching? If you're watching your breath, you are not your breath. If you're watching your thoughts, you are not your thoughts. If you're watching your body, you're not your body. You're all of those things and none of those things simultaneously. And take your right hand up to your heart, and then cover your right hand with your left. And feel your body breathing underneath your hands. So feel the expansion and contraction under your hands. And take a nice deep breath in and let it out with a sigh. And then if it feels okay, maybe take a moment with your hands together and just take a moment in gratitude to yourself, to all the things that you've worked hard for in your life, to all the gifts that you've been given. And then if you'd like, maybe opening your eyes and just acknowledging the gift of being together. You're welcome. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the 30th. So, yes, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Have a wonderful rest of your December. Wow.